All right. Now let's look at how are we able to create another page where once we click on any of these particular products, we must be redirected to a product details page where we get to see the details of a particular product. And also we must be able to add this particular product to this particular card right here. So when we click on the add to cart button within product details page, we must be able to add this particular product into this cart right here. So that's what I'll be doing next. So first of all, in our code, I'll have to create a new folder, which is right under this app folder. So just need to be creating a new folder right here. And in this case, I'll have to call product. The reason why I've chosen product here is because when we click on this, any of the product right here, you will be able to find the URL to be having product to be the route which will be bringing us to the product details. So that's why I've created a folder called product right here. So within this product, I'll be creating another folder. This time it's going to be a dynamic name, by the way. So in this case, I just like to call, just like make a dynamic name by doing this square bracket. And inside the square bracket, I like to have slug. And this is the name that can be a variable depending on the slug of a particular product. And there you go. Just save the particular folder's name. And inside here is where we'll be placing the page.tsx. So page.tsx is basically the index page. So by having an index file, this is where we're able to have that particular index page for this particular product details. So first of all, I have to click on this particular slug folder, which we just created, and click on new file. And this time I'm going to say page.tsx. And just like this. And of course, inside the page.tsx right here, just like to initialize this particular file by saying RAFCE. And this is just meant for the boilerplate code. And as you can see right here, once the boilerplate has been created and we can go to our browser, you can find this particular text which has been created right here. This is basically will be the page that's meant for the product details page. So first of all, in this particular page right here, first of all, I have to call the navbar that we have created in our home page. So just go to our home page, and of course I have to have the navbar right here. I have to take this navbar from this particular component right here. So first of all, I have to go back to the page right here, and instead of just importing, I can just directly call it from here. It says navbar, and just need to select the first option, and it will automatically will be having navbar at the top right here. So that's how easy is it to call a particular component. Now we have just called the navbar right here, but this is not the one that this is the correct way to call the nav components, by the way. All we do just need to call it like how we're supposed to be calling. First of all, we will say dot slash, and it's going to be another times dot slash, and this time just select on components, and that's it. Of course, you need to be closing this particular navbar component, and just make sure it is closed like this. And there you go. When we go to our page right here, you'll be able to have your navbar at the top right here. Now, as you can see in our design right here, all you have to do just need to be having the products image on our left hand side. And of course, there are going to be 4 other images. And our right hand side right here, we'll be placing the title of the product, the price, and some description if necessary. And this particular counter where we're able to increase or decrease the number of the quantity that we wanted. And this particular call to action button, which will, when we click on this, it should add the number right here to this particular cart right here. So that's the basic idea of this particular product details page will be. So in our browser right here, you just need to make sure to have our product image on our left hand side and the details on our right hand side right here. So let's go back to our code. So right below this particular navbar right here, I have to create a new component which says product details. And that product details should be placed inside our component right here. So let's actually create a new file under components, product details. And of course, I have to just be initializing the file with the boilerplate again. And of course, I need to make sure to call this particular component inside product details page. So in this case, I have to call product details. And just like that, you will be able to have the product details at the top right here. And of course, this is not the correct way to call because you don't want to be creating a separate import right here. You need to make sure to call all the components within the same call right here. So yeah, let me just fix this first. So just need to make sure to wrap the entire components within a parent element. For example, it's going to say a blank tag right here, and just place them all the components inside here. And this will eventually solve the issue. So first of all, I like to make sure to make this particular product details to be available from the index of the components. So just go to index.ts, just add another new import called product details and just export it here. And yeah, there you go. And then just need to be making sure if you are able to have this particular product details can be just coming from the same import of the navbar. And just by placing this particular product details right of navbar, you'll be able to have this particular product details to be called together with navbar. And let's actually make sure it is working perfectly. As you can see right here, product details actually working perfectly, just because we are just calling it from this particular div right here. And next thing is I like to pass a product, and that product should be coming from the slug. And that particular slug is basically coming from the URL, by the way. This is the param, by the way. This is basically the slug that we are passing. So based on this particular slug, we must be finding that particular product that matches that particular slug. So that's what we'll be doing. So first of all, I like to get that particular slug from the URL. So in order to do that, I'll be using use params. So it's a built-in Next.js functions just to retrieve the content from the params. So in this case, I'd call constant. And this constant, I'm just going to say slug. So slug and equals to use params. Now just select the first one right here, and it will automatically be called at the top right here. And of course, just add parentheses, and you are able to console what you have actually got it in your slug. Now, when we refresh our page in our browser, as you can see right here, we happen to have an issue right here. So we must make sure to include use client directive right here inside our file so that we're able to make use of use params. And just need to go to the top right here. And this will eventually solve that particular issue. And there you go. Now, let's open our console right here to just to see what's the console that it is able to output. And there you go. You happen to have an object right here. This object happen to have an object called slug as well. So in order to, we can just use the destructuring method like this, so that we just can directly access that particular slug within that particular object right here. And of course, we must make sure to initialize this particular slug because this is TypeScript. So just add like any right here, and this will eventually solve that particular issue. And if you refresh it again, you'll be able to have Go Pro Hero 11, which is basically coming from the URL right here. And with this particular slug right here, we'll be able to find a product from the list of products. And from there, we're able to display that particular product in this particular page. So that's the basic idea. And now I like to find a particular product from the list of products. So first of all, of course, I must be getting the list of products. So where will I be able to get from? It's basically the one that we have already created, which is the page.tsx. And this is the way how we're able to fetch all the products. So I just like to copy this and paste it inside our page.tsx right here. And of course, this is the products, by the way. And of course, as you can see, the await is not being called right here because we need to make sure to add async right here. And of course, client grok is not being added right here. So we can just take it from what you have already been initialized earlier. So just copy this to right here, and this will eventually solve this particular issue. And I also like to make a console right below here, products, to see what are the products that are being listed out. So that we're able to see the structure of a typical product, and we can see how to filter out based on their slug. So as you can see, every product will be having their own an object like this, and they'll be having a slug, an object called slug, and inside a particular slug, there's a nested item called current. So we must, in order to access this particular slug value, we must be accessing their slug dot current, and that's the way how we are able to filter out this particular product right here. So in order to filter out one particular product from this list of product, of course, we need to make sure to add again another constant. This time it's going to be product, since it's just one. And I'll be using products to find one product where it's product.slug.current matches this particular slug that's coming from the URL. So just say slug like this. And of course, don't forget to define this particular product just by saying any. And this will eventually be able to find this particular product. And then when we console the product right here, we're able to have, and there you go, we happen to have one particular object right here. And this is basically the GoPro 11 object right here. As you can see right here, it says GoPro 11 because the slug is actually matching this particular slug from the URL right here. And right now we have already find that particular product. Next thing, we need to pass this particular product to this particular product details component. So in order to pass this as a prop, we can just add it right here. Product equals to product. And see right here, we happen to have some issue because we have not actually initialized this particular parameter to accept props. So we must make sure to add param to receive props. So just by adding the name of the prop that we have just mentioned. So in this case, going to be product. And of course, we must define it as well right here. So we're going to say any. And just by saying that, we're able to solve the issue. And next thing would be, I like to see whether are we actually fetching the correct product. So I'm just going to be making sure to display the info or the name of this particular product. So of course, must be using curly braces, place the product right here. And of course, I'd like to see product.name. And by doing this, we must be able to receive the name of the particular product. So as you can see right here, we're able to have GoPro 11. And this particular GoPro 11 is basically the name of the product. So basically, we are actually passing the correct product into this particular page right here. Now, let's start adding product images on our left-hand side first. So in our code, we'll have to rearrange this particular div right here so that we can actually happen to have multiple layouts just to see where are we going to be placing those sections. So first of all, we're going to be having the section of product details in which we are able to have all the content of a particular product. So I've already have the styling for this particular section in the globals.css. As you can see right here, I've already happen to have this particular stylings right here, which says new product details starts. And this is basically all the styling that will be required all the way up to new products details ends. So I've already added this, by the way, just so that we are able to speed up our development process. And we can just simply, just by taking the names of this particular classes that I've defined here, and you can just make use in our div right here. So first of all, in our outermost div, I will have the product details section class right here. And this will be the one that I'll be using, the outermost one. This can have class name for the outermost. I'm just going to say class name right here. Just paste that particular class name that you just copied. And this is the one that's the most outermost div. And this basically fills up the entire section. Now, next, there's going to be another div right inside here. And in this second div, it's going to be the container stays in the center of this particular section. So in this case, I have to take the second class name right here, which is product details container. So I have to copy this and I'll just be placing it right here. And what does it do is that it just happen to have a max width of 1024 pixels, and this will always stay in the center, and it will keep the content, we place it inside, it will just make it in the center. That's the one this particular container does. The next thing is we can start adding two sections on our left hand side and our right hand side right here. So I'm going to make sure to have two separate div like this. And of course, I'm going to be just naming it. This is going to be the left one. And this will be the right one right here. Okay. So in our left section, I like to have that particular image of a particular product that we click on. So first of all, in this particular section right here, of course, I have two more div, which can be the top image and the bottom image. So the top image, there'll be one image, and the bottom, there'll be a list of images. So that's what I'll be doing. So first of all, again, it's going to be a two div right here. I'll be labeling them just to make sure that we don't actually mix them up. Okay, right now we happen to have the top and the bottom right here. This will be image sections. So let's start with the top image section first. And for this particular section, I like to have like a class name for this. I like to say class name. And inside here, I'll be just going to be making sure to add some basic styling. For example, I'm going to be adding a height. And this height is going to be about like 450 pixels. And besides that, I'll be adding flex. And this is just to keep the items to the center by placing items center. And besides that, of course, there'll be a margin bottom. of 25 pixels, and that would do. And right inside the top section right here, let me add the image itself. So of course, I'll be using this particular component, which is a Next.js component, which is going to be an image coming from next/image. And as you can see at the top right here, we have just imported the particular image. Okay, this particular component right here, we need to be having its own props so that we are able to release that particular image. So the first prop that we should be passing is called loader. So loader will take a function, and this function is going to be pointing to URL for image. So URL for image is basically a Sanity's image displayer, so that we're able to display the particular image that's coming from Sanity. So just click on this, and inside here we will be opening a parenthesis, and this URL for image should be having like a dot URL, so that we are able to extract that particular URL from the image. So, and of course, we need to be passing this particular dynamic products image right inside here. So since this particular product will be having a list of images coming from its object, so we need to be making sure just to take the first image. So in order to pass the first image only, and we can just say product dot images, and we can just put 0 for now, just to see the first image right here. And of course, not to forget, this particular URL should also be having its own parenthesis like this. And next thing is that, of course, we need to be adding source. So source is basically the URL of the image itself. It does not need to be placed in a function like this. And we can just take that particular URL for image and just place it right inside here. And besides that, of course, we need to be having an alt as well. So just by saying alt, and we can just say that particular image URL like this. And this would do. And besides that, we also need to be adding height and width. So right under this particular alt, we can add a width of 350, and we can also add a height of 350 as well. And we can also, I would like to add like a class name just to have some styling. So that particular styling would be called object cover. So this is basically just to have that particular image to fill the entire space. So I would say object cover. And also I have to make that particular image to sit in the center. I will just say margin x-axis 02. And there you go. Right now we are able to have our image to be seen. And there you go. Right now we are able to have this particular image of our product. And this is basically GoPro 11, by the way. And if you were to switch to other product, let's say I can just go to this DJI Mini. And what happens right here, you are able to find that particular product right here. And that's the way how we are able to make use of the image component coming from Next.js to display the image right here. And the next thing is I like to work on this particular bottom section. This bottom section will be consisting of all the list of images. And we can just open this particular div right here. And I like to add like a class name for this as well. So in this case, I will add class name. And first of all, I have to make a copy of this particular class name right here, which says small images container, which I've already defined right here. And this is just basically, it will list out all those particular list of images in a flex so that we are able to list them out in one row. And next thing would be, I like to make use of this particular image component that we did earlier. And I like to iterate through all the images that's coming from the particular product. So first of all, I have to make sure to call like a map function, which should map over every single image. So in this case, I have to take that particular product dot images dot map, and I like to call item. And I like to open a bracket like this, and inside this bracket right here, I like to have this particular image component that we did earlier. So just like to copy this, and we're just going to be making sure to iterate through every single product images. And that way we're able to have a list of images. So the first thing I have to do right here, of course, I have to make sure to make this item to define its data type. In this case, I have to say any. And not just that, as you can see right here, we're not actually making use of this particular item product. The most important would be to make use of index. So index is the one that we can use it to render out every single images from this particular list. So as you can see right here, instead of just making use of 0 right here, you can just replace 0 with index. and that will eventually call every single image. And then of course, I have to change the width and the height right here, where the width, I have to make it around like 220 like this, and height would be about like 100 should do. And of course, I have to change the class name as well. And as you can see the class name right here, I like to add like height here as well, which says height equals to 32. And besides margin x-axis equals to auto, I like to also like to add border for every single image card. And of course, there's some, I like to have the corner radius to be about like XL. So by saying rounded to XL, which can be able to do that. And besides that, I also like to add the properties when we hover on top of this particular image. I like to have the cursor to become pointer. So I like to have hover first. So hover, when you hover onto this particular image, instead by saying cursor dash pointer, which can solve the issue. And let's see what else can we improve on. Now let's go to the browser and let's see what's the difference right here. So as you can see right here, our image has already been created right here. As you can see right here, we're not able to click on this anything at the moment. So what I like to do is that whenever we click on any of this particular image, this particular main image should be changed according to what we clicked. So there's a way for it. We can just make sure to have this particular image to have, instead of 0 right here, we can just make it index as well, just like the way how we did it here. So in order to have that, we need to make sure to have like a global use state, and it's going to be putting it right here, right above the return right here. And it's going to be quite simple, by the way. So I'm just going to say, it's going to go very quickly. So constant index, and of course set index as well would be needed. And I'll be using a useState function as well. So just by saying useState, and you'll be able to call it right here. And of course, you just need to be initializing this particular useState value. And in this case, I'd say 0. And I like to copy the index right here. And of course, let's place it right here. Just replace this first 0 that you see right here with index. And of course, as you can see at the bottom right here, we are also making use of index right here, which we wouldn't want it to confused with. So let's replace this index with I like this. And that would eventually do the same thing, by the way. So also we need to make sure to add like a on-click function right at the last part here. So in this case, I'd say on-click. And this on-click should be a function. So in this case, I'd add like a bracket function. And inside here, I like to have the set index function to become whatever that we click. So let's say when we click this particular image with this particular I, and it's going to be passing the I right here, this particular index gets updated. And eventually it will update the image at the top right here. So that's the basic idea right here. Oh, of course, do not forget that we need to make sure to make use of use client when we make use of client component. So let's go to our code right here, and just at the top right here, just add use client like this, and this will eventually solve the issue. And there you go. Right now, let's say we would click on the first one, because it does not get updated, and the second one, it gets updated, by the way. And there you go. Then that's how simple it is to make this particular section work. Now that we have already done our left-hand side section, now let's focus on the right-hand side. So in this particular right-hand side div here, I'd like to open the div right here. And of course, I'll be adding the class name for this as well. And I would like to list those content of this particular right side section, where it will be the title of this particular product, the price, and the call to action button in one single column. So in this case, I like to make use of Flex. So Flex has its own way to sort things. So in this case, I like to make use of Flex column so that we're able to arrange them in one column. So first of all, I like to have Flex followed by Flex call. And in this case, I have to add gap of 8 will do. Now next, let's add the actual content of this particular section. So I like to have another div, and I'll have a class name for this as well. And here I like to place another Flex column as well. So by having Flex followed by Flex call, and also some gap would do of 4 this time. And here I like to have the text right here. So I like to have a div first, and in this case, it's going to be product.name. Like this. Besides the name of this particular product, I like to add the price of this particular product. So I just have to replace this name with price, and that would do. And let's add some class name here as well. So the class name here would be, like to have the size of this particular text to be 3XL by saying text-3XL. And the font weight should be bold, just by saying font-bold will do. And besides, for this particular, the product price right here, to have a class name for this as well. In this, text XL would do. And in this case, I have to have the font weight to be medium by saying font-medium like this, and this should do. And let's check our browser, and there you go. This particular title and the price would be placed on our right hand side right here. Let's check on our mobile version as well. As you can see right here, when I reduce the screen size to mobile, as you can see, it just goes to the bottom right here. So that's perfectly normal. Okay, now let's go to the following part, which is to add those buttons. So right after this div right here, so right below the first inner div, I like to have another div right below the first div right here. So let's have a class name for this. And this time it's going to be meant for the quantity part, where we can actually increase and decrease the quantity that we would like to have. Now, I'm going to be adding some flex as well. So in this case, I'll add flex. But this time, I won't be adding this particular flex column right here, because this time I like to have this spread in one row. So that's why I never used flex-row this time. But of course, I'll be adding gap instead. And I'll give a gap of 2 like this. And this should do. And also to make sure for the items to align to the center by saying items center, just like that. And inside here, right inside the first element of this particular div would be, I like to have like a text element right here. I'm just going to add h3 tag. And it's going to be, I'm just going to say the quantity of this. So it says quantity. And let's check our browser. And there you go. You're able to see it right here. And right below this h3 tag right here, I have to add a p tag. And this p tag should be a box where it has minus followed by a number and of course the plus button. So of course, let's start with the class name first. So I like to have this particular class name called quantity followed by description. So I like to copy this. So this is one that we'll be using so that it can actually have like the button styling to be applied. So in this case, I have quantities followed by description. And also I'll be adding flex followed by item center and also some border. So in this case, I'll just say border -black. This should do. And let's go to our browser. As you can see right here, there's a small box right here. This is where we'll be placing the plus, minus, and the number, the quantity of this particular product. Okay. Right now, right inside here, inside the first p tag, inside the p tag right here, I'll add a span tag like this. And inside the span tag, of course, let's start with having class name first. So in this case, I already happen to have a class name just for this. And it says minus. So as you can see right here, we're able to have this particular class name called minus. So I have to copy this and just paste it right inside here. So this will be the minus button. In this case, I have to add like a minus icon. So I have to go to the top right here. So I have to call the minus icon coming from awesome icon, React awesome icon. So I have to say import, open curly braces, and inside here I have to say AI, which stands for awesome icons. In this case, I have to add outline and minus. And this is a particular icon that we'll be using, which is coming from React-icons/AI. And this should be able to import this particular awesome icon from this particular React icons right here. So all you have to do, just need to copy this AI outline minus and place it right inside our first span tag, right inside here. And that should do the work. And let's check our browser. As you can see right here, we happen to have a minus button right here, which is red. And of course, let's add another span tag. So I have to copy this, the first span tag again, it's pasted right here. And the second space, it's going to be meant for the number to be placed. So we don't be needing this particular icon. So I'm just going to be making sure to have an empty span tag right here. And for temporary sake, I'm just going to be placing like an item 1 like this. Just a number 1 should do. For now, we're just going to be making sure to have number 1 just to have like a default value. And instead of minus right here, I like to make use of num right here. So it's like this, like to make use of that num like this should do. And let's check our browser. And there you go. You're able to have this number right here. And of course, last but not least, we need to have the plus button right here, right after here. And in this case, you can see right here, we happen to have AI outline minus. So I'm just going to be replacing it with AI outline plus. And we should also import it at the top right here, just after the minus. And of course, do not forget to change the name of this particular class name. Just change it to plus, like in this particular design right here. So as you can see in our browser right here, we're able to find this plus, minus, and number button to be placed together right here. And the next thing would be to add the add to cart button, which would be just need to be placing it right below this particular div right here, which is basically right after the, it's going to be the third div under the right hand side right here. So I'll have to create a new button, and this button is going to be saying add to cart. And of course, there'll be some class name right here. Let's add it. And this class name, I've already added the styling for it as well. And we can just say button. This button would be kind of like global styling. And of course, followed by a specific one, where in this case, I've used add to cart button like this. So just have to copy this styling class name right here. And it will just be pasting it right here as well. And if we check our browser, we'll be able to find this particular add to cart right here. But as you can see right here, this particular section is placed very to the top right here. Let me add some padding so that it actually matches this particular product view right here. And let's go to the most right hand side right here. At the outermost div for the right hand side, let me add some padding. And in this case, like we have for medium sized screens and above, like we have padding top of 32. And of course, if we do it for medium sized screens and above, we should also be doing for mobile sized screen. So in this case, let me say just have to say PT, which actually also applies the padding top for whatever screen sizes which does not fall under MD and above. So as you can see right here, if we place like this, we're able to have this should be placed a bit to the center, which is actually aligns to this particular product. And of course, when we check our and inspect to our mobile version, we're able to have this particular add to cart button to have replaced at the bottom as well. So that's it for this particular part.